Welcome into the Stack Shack podcast. My name is Nathaniel. We are back. Sorry about the missing week there, but we are returning. I'm feeling much better, and now we're excited because we did keep up with all the content. We just didn't keep up the discussion of it. So we're excited to discuss that today. We're going to talk first Book of Boba, episodes 4 and 5. We're just going to jump them together since we missed episode 4 last week. So, Gabe, we can come at this a few different ways. General thoughts maybe on both or one or the other. We can start with episode 4. What'd you think?
Let's just start with episode 4. Keep it chronological.
Yeah.
I 4 was not my favorite. I thought it was kind of bland. Like, not a ton of new. We didn't learn a ton of new things, right? He got revenge supposedly. He finally met Fennec Shand.
Shand, yeah.
Mess that up every time. And then I didn't feel like the whole breaching of the facility was not a very. I didn't feel like it was.
Lackluster.
Yeah, it was just lackluster. That's kind of how I felt most of the episode. I liked the end where Bob was just standing there watching his. I can't remember the Wookiee's name now. As he just destroys these guys. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Chrysanthemum.
Yeah.
Is it Chrysanthemum or something like that?
I think it's Chrysanthemum. Yes.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny, and then he's like, "Oh, you need work."
That was pretty funny.
Cool.
We did get our Wookiee ripping an arm off scene.
Yes,
we were asking about that before. And we're going, we just want to see him rip an arm off. Well, he did. We got that.
Yeah. Other than that, the rest of the episode just didn't hit for me.
It was really a forgettable episode.
Yeah.
It really was. Coming in to even record today, I had to pull up the synopsis of episode 4 because I was like, what exactly happened in episode? Oh, that's right. Now, there were a few great moments. For example, depth charge. Anytime there's a depth charge, I'm excited.
Yes,
right?
That's true. Very true.
That was freaking awesome to drop that into the Sarlacc pit, and I just love the sound and everything about it, right? So there were a couple of little moments, like you said, with Chrysanthemum ripping his arm off and that little fight at the end, and it's always fun to see that fire spray ship, right? Boba's ship, fire spray class starship. It's just a cool design. It's something Star Wars fans have been in love with for a long time. So that was cool. There were some good little moments, but I would agree with you. Overall, it didn't feel like we did a lot, and that's something that has been, I think, happening a lot with Boba. One of its criticisms has been it's slow. Now, I think early on, we were both getting a lot of the kind of typical mob story, more the intellectual. It wasn't as much an action film, but more political, more intrigue. And that was what was driving the story. I feel like it hasn't really leaned into that as much as I was expecting it to.
Yes.
And has instead kind of tried to balance beam on this middle zone of having some of that, but also having some of the more typical, bounty hunting, Star Wars action. That has been a little hit or miss, right? We talked earlier about the
Cyberpunk crew.
The Cyberpunk crew, and I don't know about that, but how much we loved the train hijacking. So there's been some highs and lows. One thing I think I will say about Boba, and specifically about, this is, the second series. It's the third season of content we've got from Favreau and Filoni. This one seems to be more Favreau, but if you remember back to Mandalorian season 1, it was very slow at the beginning.
Yes.
And that's something I would remind the fans that are maybe a little concerned or a little worried. They're like, man, it's super slow. So was Mandalorian season 1. Now, I think Mandalorian season 1 had the extra hype of wow, this is actually decent Star Wars content, and we haven't gotten this in like 6 years, right?
Yeah.
So I think that alone brought in an extra level of intrigue that's not been present and is not helping Boba get through some of these slower episodes at the beginning. I think it's really taking its time to build everything. Is it maybe taking a little too much time? Yeah, that's possible. Are there some scenes that are maybe a little hit or miss? Yeah, definitely. But I think it's building towards something. And that's where I want to move. Well, let's not move to chapter 5 quite yet, but I think I'll finish this thought of I have some trust in Filoni and in Favreau based off of we have Mandalorian season 1 started really slow. If you go back and watch Clone Wars season 1 is very slow, right? This has kind of been a trend for Filoni shows. Even, Filoni was involved with Avatar, right? And that starts off really slow. So it seems to be a trend that, sometimes as fans, we want to just get to the good stuff. But when we build slowly to it, it is just that much more satisfying. So I'm not concerned overall on the show. I think it'll be interesting though.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on episode 4? Kind of a forgettable episode, so I don't know if there's that much to say on it.
Yeah. I would just agree with most of what you just said. Oh, my audio's out again. Yeah, I would just agree with most of what you said. I felt like this episode wasn't building too much.
Yeah.
That's my main. If it was building to something, it was slow. I would be totally fine. It can build. I just didn't feel like there was much building happening this episode.
Yeah.
But
that's
another
fair.
good moment that made it I enjoyed. I didn't like the negotiations that Boba had with the other guys. I felt like it was very much, oh, we disagree. Well, now we agree. Oh well, I don't need to see Boba discuss things with people.
Yeah.
But I love how the Rancor just grabs the cage and Boba's just like, no, I'm totally chill with this. You guys can freak out. Watch me just be totally chill. That was a great moment.
That was a good moment. I'm excited to see some Rancor action.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna have to come at some point.
Other than that, yeah, not much else to say about this episode.
One other thing that I was thinking of here as we were talking that I wanted to mention is I think that opening scene of Boba finding Fennec, right, and having her repaired and all of that, to me that scene in some ways for me redeemed a little bit of our cyberpunk crew. That scene felt much more Star Warsy.
Yes.
Than maybe our first introduction to the cyberpunk crew, at least to me. It felt a little more within the realm of what I would expect from a Star Wars piece of content. So I was happy to see that we're not getting too shiny, too crazy, too cyberpunk. It did kind of maybe tapered that down just a touch.
Yes.
In that scene, at least for me. We'll see. Obviously I think there's a lot left for those characters and what that's going to be. Moving on to chapter 5. What did you think of chapter 5?
Well, I liked it. I liked it a lot more than episode 4. But I feel like what could have made... Before I go into my general thoughts of episode 5, but if they had taken parts of episode 5 and parts of episode 4 and made 2 episodes with each, right? So you have interspersed. I felt like episode 4 would have done a lot better for me. I don't. Yeah, I just feel like it would have helped the. Hey, stuff's going on, but we're getting this flashback scene. Now here's some stuff going on now. If they had structured those 2 episodes together in a different way, I would have liked it more. Liked 4 more.
Yeah.
But, I thought 5 was good. I was not expecting the whole episode to just be about our friend Mando, but
Yeah.
it was still entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah.
About you, what are
For
your
me,
overall thoughts?
yeah. So I have an interesting opinion, I think, on chapter 5. Um, I loved the episode. Thought it was great. Really enjoyed it.
Hmm.
But it wasn't a Book of Boba Fett episode.
No.
It was a Mandalorian episode.
Yes.
And that's, to me, that's a big problem. Um, I know we want to bring Mando in, right? He's going to be the muscle, and I'm excited for that. Very excited for that. But I have this sense of we've decided we're going to create a show around Boba Fett. That episode had nothing to do with Boba Fett. It was all about Mando. And if we're going to use these, there's going to be 7 episodes. So there's 2 episodes left in Book of Boba. I feel like this is almost going to, if we bring Mando in and now Mando's, it could become a situation where I feel like this is just Mandalorian season 3, where we just got a couple episodes on Boba Fett. Like we got 3 episodes on Boba Fett, 1 kind of throwaway episode, and then 3 episodes on Mando to lead into Mandalorian season 3, which I'm very excited for. And again, I actually really liked the episode. There were so many just awesome nods to previous Star Wars content, right? We've got the ship, right, that we see in Phantom Menace, right? And they're rebuilding that thing. We've got Beggar's Canyon. We've got where they were pod racing, right? Yeah. That same shot into the canyon. We have a BD droid, right, from Jedi Fallen Order. That was super cool. There were so many great nods. We found out that one of the members of this kind of cohort of Mandalorians is a Vizsla, right, which has a lot of meaning to it. We already know that from Mandalorian that they are a level of offshoot of Death Watch, right, which is a very cultish, very basically the terrorists of Mandalore. They're extremists, and so and Vizsla was one of them, right? And so to see his descendant come in, and that adds a lot of things, and more scenes with the Darksaber, some interesting lore behind it, just kind of growing that situation. They keep referencing the Mythosaur, okay? And I am so excited to hopefully see it. I just really want in Mandalorian Season 3 there to be a Mythosaur and Mando to ride it. That would be sick. Because we got a slight hint at it, because it's been rumored heavily that Boba Fett rode a Mythosaur at one point. At least I think he does in Legends, and that has been something that's been rumored before. And when he was talking with the caretaker for the Rancor or whatever, he made kind of an offhand comment of like, I can handle this. I've ridden things much bigger than you. And I think that was a reference to the Mythosaur. And then we had another reference about kind of the prophecy of the Darksaber, and there was some comments about the Mythosaur there that I thought were very cool. So overall, awesome episode, lots of cool like nuggets for diehard fans, you know, very interesting and building the story and taking a well-loved character, right? Definitely helped out on the ratings, I know, for the show, just as far as the number of viewers. A lot of people tuned in to watch it. But it did disappoint me a little bit that it didn't feel like a Book of Boba episode. It felt like a Mandalorian episode. And I wanted these two things to be different. And so that's my one little concern with it. We'll see how the next 2 episodes go. What are your thoughts on that? Do you agree with me, Gabe? Am I coming from left field here?
I totally agree with you. Like, this is Book of Boba Fett. We already have Mandalorian as a show, and it confirmed another season. I'm totally fine with them having both characters in one show. We had that in Mandalorian season 2.
A team up.
Yeah, team up's great. I don't like how it was, so much of it was dedicated to just Mando, when I get having a specific vision for what season 3 should be, right, of Mandalorian, and you want him to be at a certain point for the start of that.
Yep.
But like we've done with Mando here, we can always give flashbacks. You can always give some insight to what happened to get your character to this point.
Yeah.
Without having to dedicate a whole episode of a different show to that. Yeah.
To just set up a season of another show.
Yeah. Because we could have totally just had, of this episode, I love how it starts with, Mando on a bounty. Great, yes.
On a bounty.
Bring that back.
Once again. That's a great way to introduce him.
Yeah. I could have totally had Mando gets bounty. You have that whole opening scene of him turning in the bounty, and then, Fennec Shand wants to talk to you.
Yep.
And then we could have gone on to what else was happening in the show. And
or we could even jump over to Boba and kind of do our time jump situation here, and Mando shows up and he's like, I got kicked out. I had
Yeah.
We don't need to have a whole episode dedicated to that because, well, one, like you said, we can do flashbacks, just like we've already been doing in Book of Boba, where we do a couple of little flashbacks to hit the main points of what happened. And yes, I love rebuilding the N1 Starfighter. That's fantastic. That's a great scene. But to be completely honest, it didn't do a whole lot for the story, especially the story of Boba Fett, right?
Yes.
We can throw those kinds of things in easily, I think, in Mandalorian Season 3 if we needed them. They grew Mando's character, definitely. But I think it could have been very easy to just have him show up, be like, I got kicked out, and we don't really know why. And then in Mandalorian Season 3, they show a flashback of the duel with the Darksaber and then him admitting that he took his helmet off, right? Yeah. I think that would work perfectly fine, and we could have gotten more Boba Fett content, which is what we're here to watch the show for. It's for Boba Fett, and that's kind of where I'm at on episode 5.
I agree, especially with I think this is the longest runtime of any of the episodes, or at least up there.
It's so close to it, yeah.
And we had not even a scene of Boba Fett. The whole episode. When we had so much small, I'm not going to say throwaway scenes because I enjoyed every scene, right? But they weren't 100%. Driving anything in the plot. Like the whole the starship building part, great, but you could have cut that down quite a bit, or we didn't need all the little. What am I thinking of? When he's depositing his weapons. We didn't need all the elevator scenes where he just hops in the elevator 2 times. Like it didn't, I understand those are little moments of Mando, but we didn't need those in Book of Boba Fett. And I would say those are correct. A lot of these moments felt like Mando moments we've had before. Hey, someone's going to look at my armor. I'm going to look at them. I'm intimidating. They look away, and that's it.
Yeah, and there's something to be said. I just love the attention to detail that Favreau and Filoni and the whole writing team and everybody has put into this show of, putting some little Easter eggs in. And I do think like that, I know it's already been said many times before, but the Halo ring planet, right? kind of ecosystem here. The first time I'm like, ooh, Halo rings. It's a cool place, and I'm glad we got to spend some time there. But I just would have wanted that in Mando Season 3, not in Book of Boba. And I do appreciate the slow, methodical, as a Star Wars nerd, right? I love Star Wars. So I'm just like, let me just sit here in Star Wars. I like
enjoy this universe. Yes.
I like just learning all the little nuances. Like, yes, to some people, even like my mother, she's like, I was kind of boring. I was like, okay, but you don't understand. That was Beggars Canyon, and that was a BD unit, and you know those
We got
things
the Naboo
are.
TIE Fighter, or not TIE Fighter, but their
We got
Starfighter.
a Starfighter, exactly. Those are all incredible moments for me as a big fan, and I am going to be the first to say they need to just keep catering to their diehards, and I love that they're doing that because that's something that I think we had some problems with Wheel of Time. Like, what are you doing? Are you going to be diehards or are you going to be for the masses? What are you doing? You got to pick one. You got to figure it out, right? And we had some, and that's I think what hurt some of the sequel trilogy of like they tried to make it super palatable. It's like, well, no, we could just get into the nitty gritty. There's a big enough fan base for this, right?
Oh yeah.
And so I highly encourage them to. I want them to keep doing that, and so I don't want the criticism to be I wish they made it more palatable, or I wish they skipped these scenes. I loved them. I just felt they would be better suited for Mandalorian season 3 than for Book of Boba.
Yes, exactly.
Now I want to get your thoughts on next episode because it is co-written by Dave Filoni.
Oh, you know it's going to be a banger then.
You know it's going to be a banger. You do. You really do.
Quick tangent about that. I was in a group chat, one of my group chats, and they said someone brought up something about, oh, this is one of the greatest character arcs, and then someone said, oh, but Zuko from Avatar is a better character arc. I think it was Anakin's character arc versus Zuko, and so it started a whole Star Wars versus Avatar thing. And then one person definitely brought up Dave Filoni directed parts of both series, so he's just the real winner here. Dave Filoni's just the GOAT. That's what the end of the discussion was. That
he's killing it.
So yeah,
what I think is interesting is so far, yes, Dave Filoni episodes have always been bangers. Like he seems to pick. They seem to trust him to write your like kind of apex, bring everything together kind of episodes. He's kind of a master at that. Yes. It feels like to me. But the other thing that has been reliable about Filoni is when a character from some other piece of his content is gonna show up, he writes the episode they're in. For example, when Ahsoka showed up in Mandalorian, that was a Filoni episode that he wrote and directed. He's writing and directing this 6th episode, which makes me theorize that we're going to get a cameo of somebody from Filoni's past works.
Okay.
What do you think of that idea?
I'm very excited for that, but now I'm trying to think. Are we going... Okay. We had talked about before. I'm trying to think of what character it could be, right? We didn't think we were going to get much of Mando in this series, if at all, because we're going to get Mando season 2 or season 3.
Yeah. We got him.
We got Mando. And so my other thought was, well, we're not going to get much of Ahsoka because we're going to get an Ahsoka series. Now, it could be Ahsoka, and I don't know what to think anymore.
Yeah. Interesting.
I don't think it will be Ahsoka, considering what the... I don't think she has much beef with Boba in this, right currently.
No.
I don't think that's the issue. I just think this isn't a... the Pikes are not on her radar of what she's going after.
No, not really. Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to be Ahsoka. I definitely could be wrong. But I don't know who else that is in... Is No, Obi-Wan's dead. Duh. This is after Empire. I'm thinking of this pre-Emperor Empire again.
Yeah.
Who else is there that is out and about right now that could potentially show up?
Well, I think you're probably right on Ahsoka. If we're wrong on that and Ahsoka shows up, I'm gonna freak out, and that's gonna be awesome. But I think you're right. It would feel a bit forced. I think like what is she doing here?
Yeah.
I don't really see a need for her to show up. She doesn't really have anything to do with the Pikes right now. She also doesn't really have beef with Boba at the moment. It doesn't... I mean...
Wait. Pikes? That's a whole arc, is that she's fighting the part of the... Like, fighting or captured by the Pikes in season 7.
That is true. So she does have some history with them, but I don't feel like, because that was kind of the whole Maul thing, right? Because Maul was leading
that's fair.
the underworld at that point in time, and he is leading it later, but at this point he's dead. He's dead at this point, long dead.
Or so we think. It's Maul.
No, he's definitely dead. Okay, he's definitely dead. That's
Maul is just
definitely gave him an end.
I just think it's funny that Maul's the anime character, like the Star Wars' take on the anime trope of no one dies, or I guess more the comics trope of no one dies.
The comics trope of nobody dies. Yeah, he definitely died, and they gave him, I think, a perfect ending that we could talk about some other time. But my one name that I think we might have briefly mentioned before that I am intrigued and would be super interested in, that would fit, would be Cad Bane. What do you think of that? He's a Filoni character, right?
Yes. He would
totally fit in.
Okay, now I like the idea of Bane. I think they'd have to make him look good in live action. I think they can definitely do that. I think all of their character designs are pretty good, and Mando, Boba Fett, all of that. I feel like if he comes in though, he's gonna be a hired gun by the Pikes, not by Boba.
Correct.
I think that's gonna 100%. Be a very fun dynamic. I really like this idea now. I did not think of Bane, but Bane is a good choice.
That's the idea I'm thinking. We don't know, but I'm just, Filoni likes to throw a big cameo in the episode he writes, and typically they have him write the episode that involves a character from his past. Bane would fit beautifully as a hired gun for the Pikes. That's my thought. I'm gonna throw that one out there. We'll see next week if that comes true.
I really like that. Actually. If they even just brought in more of the canon bounty hunters for the Pikes to have on hand,
yeah,
that would be cool. Do we know what happened to the rest of Boba Fett's old crew in I want to say season 6 of Star Wars Clone Wars?
Yeah, we know some of them. I mean, like Bosk and stuff we see in later episodes, and we know that what's the girl's name?
I don't remember.
I can't think of her name right now. But we know she got killed because there's a mention of her getting killed. What is her name?
I'm looking it up. We're going to find out one way or the other.
Yep, we are.
Wraith's Claw. We have Bosk, C-21, Highsinger, Latz, Razi, Oked, Dengar, Embo.
Yeah, Embo is dead, right? I'm pretty sure Embo's dead. So.
Let's look at all of these guys. We definitely know Bosk is gone.
Bosk is gone.
Yeah. Oked is dead. He died on Tatooine. And Embo.
What is her name? Aura Singh. Boom! I just got it. I didn't even look it up. I just remembered. Aura Singh, we know, got killed. I forget by who. Why can't I remember who killed her? But there's a comment about somebody killing her. So we know Aura's gone. So really, Cad Bane, I feel like, is the only one that's kind of from that era that we don't know, or that I don't think is dead yet. Or that we don't know for sure. Right? We saw Cad Bane a little bit in Bad Batch. Right? But he doesn't die.
She died to Tobias Beckett.
That's right.
From Han Solo.
Mm-hmm.
From just Han Solo.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, from Solo. That's the name. Yep, I remember that now. Yes. So we know she's gone. So I think Cad Bane's our best bet. That's my theory. I'm throwing it out there. We'll see if I'm right or wrong. Cad Bane coming in the next episode would be legendary and would really lean into that kind of Western style that some of these have had, right? Because Cad Bane's your Western character that's been in Star Wars for a long time. So interested to see what'll happen next episode. Any final thoughts, Gabe, before we move on?
Well, I was looking at the rest of his crew, right? I'm on the little wiki from that
Okay.
one from the season 6
The
Star
Bounty
Wars,
Hunters
right?
episode. Yeah.
There's a different girl that was part of his crew, not Aura Singh.
That's true. Yes.
Lots. I want to say it's Lots. Maybe it's Lats. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But she went off to form her own syndicate after everything that went down. So if she's a syndicate, potential, clashing with the Pikes and other.
Yeah.
So just throwing out other options, but I think Cad Bane is still the best.
I think Cad Bane just makes the most sense as a major character to drop in. The thing is, he is like, he's got to be really old, but we don't know how he ages, right? His species, I'm not really sure. And maybe he's alive. I don't know. It's an interesting one. We haven't, like I said, we saw him in Bad Batch, but there's not a definitive end to his story yet. So could show up, and that's my theory, is that he's going to show up in episode 6. It's going to be a banger episode regardless. We know it is. This is typically the last 2 episodes is where these two, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, just wrap it all up and make it amazing, because that's what happened in Mando season 1. So I'm interested to see what these last 2 episodes bring.
I'm excited. I want to, even though 4 and 5 not my favorites in terms of how it's progressing the story. I still think all the nods are great. They still have some great moments in them. So
still a high quality show for sure.
I can
still
totally
a high quality show.
Yeah, totally see them coming. They always end with bangers.
Yep, they do.
Both seasons of Mandalorian bangers endings. So I'm excited.
Yep, it's gonna be great. All right, transitioning now to kind of this series that we've started, where we're just kind of preparing for our Oscar season, our Academy Awards season, by just picking a movie each week that's got some buzz, as far as either it was very highly anticipated to be a contender at the Academy Awards, or has gotten some buzz after releasing. Maybe it was a sleeper before, and now it's really picking up some steam. We talked about Tick, Tick, Boom earlier, right, with Andrew Garfield definitely being in the running, and just the whole movie, a lot of different people in the running, are kind of really there feels like at least once a year there's some big ensemble cast, like, we're gonna get an Oscar kind of movie where it's just built to try and win Academy Awards. And for me, I think the one, at least anticipation-wise, was Don't Look Up. Yes. The movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence, about comet coming to crash on Earth, and just kind of a satire, a social commentary on our current, society, as well as a bit of a satire on doomsday and disaster movies of the past, and kind of taking a look at all of that and poking fun at really a lot of things.
Yes.
It didn't land maybe as well as I think it was rumored to be. It was so highly anticipated with the cast. I mean, you've got DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, Meryl Streep, Jonah Hill, Ron Perlman. The list goes on and on. I can't even list all of them. It's just everywhere you looked, there was some A-list actor or actress. And maybe didn't land as well. Didn't get quite as good ratings as maybe was going to be kind of anticipated to get. But Gabe, what did you think of the film? We watched it this week. What did you think?
Well, I watched it a couple weeks ago now, because when we did Tick Tick Boom, I flipped him in my head somehow. So it's been a little bit. Uh, I enjoyed it. I I have not watched a dark comedy in a while where they're just kind of poking fun at all these moments.
Mm-hmm.
So it may have just been, not used to that sense of comedy anymore, or sense of humor. So it landed a lot, maybe more frequently now than when I look back at it. Like since watching it, I've watched other dark comedies, like little shorts, right? And I feel like those did a better job. Maybe it's because they were more shorter format. Like we've explored, we've gone through and made fun of this in different ways, and we're not really focusing on character development or the plot that's going on, other than we're doing this humor.
It's more just a satire.
And I feel like that's kind of where Don't Look Up didn't land as well for me in hindsight. Not that the plot was bad or that the characters were bad or anything, just the blend of how, like, the balance of everything going on wasn't as digestible for me, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
There's still some hilarious moments and parts I'm like, that's you're being very cynical and satire here, but I can see that kind of happening.
Yeah, there's a few moments that you're almost like, that actually could probably happen. That would totally happen.
Yeah,
that'd be exactly how it would go.
Especially the when they first announce it to the world and everyone's like, no, let's move on to Ariana Grande.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's just keep it positive. Like,
we're gonna move on.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't say it's my top movie of the year or in any respect.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you. It was good. I laughed at quite a few moments. Yeah. It was funny. I think it was smart. I think it did a good job of poking fun at just everything, which I think a good satire doesn't try and, like, obviously there's a message in the film, and obviously there's some things to look at,
and there's some biases that you have to work around.
It is commenting on society, but I think it did a good job at poking fun at a lot of different parts of society, and keeping it in the theme of the world is ending, poking fun at all sorts of aspects of the world. Right, celebrity culture, politics, science, and
internet
science
culture,
deniers, and I think it poked fun at a lot of things.
Yes.
I think that was something it did very well. I think sometimes satires can, like, you're poking fun at this one group or this one thing. Hysterical, great. I think that's awesome. But sometimes I think they can lose their sense of self-awareness. I think a satire needs to be self-aware to some extent. And I thought this film did a good job of that. But I think I would also agree with you. I don't feel like it was particularly incredible at anything.
Yeah.
It was very serviceable at everything, which made it a good movie. It was a fun watch. I enjoyed it. I laughed through it. There were some good moments of, ooh, that one stings a little, right?
Yeah.
Like that's probably how it would actually go, and that's terrible, right?
It's a little horrifying at times.
Yeah, it's a little horrifying at times. There's some good moments of introspection in it, right? But I don't feel like there was anything that was particularly great about the film. It was just good all around. Yeah. And so I would agree with you. I don't really have it high on my list of, potential winners of anything like Best Picture or even really the acting. The acting was fantastic. I mean,
oh yeah, I think
DiCaprio and Lawrence and Meryl. I mean, with that list of actors, it was very, very well done. The whole film was very well done. I just nothing jumped out at me the way Andrew Garfield's performance in Tick, Tick, Boom does, the way Benedict Cumberbatch right? In Power of the Dog jumps out. There was nothing that was quite that powerful, in my opinion. I don't think anything was quite that incredible. Now, that wasn't necessarily what the actors or actresses were asked to do, right?
No.
You know, I'm not
The movie was
saying
not
they did a
focusing
bad
on
job. It just, yeah, exactly. The movie, that wasn't the point. I just don't think it did anything so exceptional that it was award worthy.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you could throw it in like a best comedy or something like that, but like a best picture overall, I just don't see it doing super well. And like at the Golden Globes, where they throw musical comedy like together, now you're just gonna get beat by Tick Tick Boom, I think. And the other two musicals that came out with In the Heights and West Side Story, which I know, I apologize, in the previous video I kept mixing those up in my brain. I don't know why, but I kept saying them like interchangeably and one for the other, so I apologize for that. I recognize that about when I clicked stop recording when we were done, and I went,
Literally.
was I just saying In the Heights the whole time when I meant West Side Story? Yes, Nathaniel, you were. So sorry about that. Don't crucify me. But yeah, you're just gonna get beat out by just some more impressive films, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like you said, the acting in it is phenomenal. You have such a great cast. But compared to Tick Tick Boom or Power of the Dog, where it's such a emphasis on that, we're seeing it's much more of a character-driven what's going on. This is, I think DiCaprio killed his role. I think that was phenomenal acting, but within the bounds of what his character was in the film and how much screen time was focused on him compared to other things going on. I don't think it was as impressive of a performance in that regard.
He did kill it, especially the like rant at the news desk when he finally breaks. That scene, I was like, whoa, all right, there's the DiCaprio acting ability I've been waiting for. You know, because up until that point, he hadn't really been asked to do anything particularly impressive, right? A lot of other actors could have probably done a pretty decent job up to that point, but he, towards that ending, just smashed it out of the park. So, very impressive there. Side note here, I want Bro Timothy for a whole movie. I didn't know that Bro Timothy would be that much fun to watch.
So entertaining.
But he was, and I loved it. And I feel like he had a lot of fun with that role, and I kind of want to see a movie where he gets to play that kind of a character for the whole thing.
Oh, it would be hilarious. I would enjoy that.
It's hysterical.
There are so many funny moments that every time I think back to, I'm like, oh, that was
hysterical.
The president's son. I can't remember, but
I can't. Jonah's.
Yes,
Jonah Hill's
character. Oh, they didn't put a bag on my head. Oh, I had him put a bag on her head because I just didn't like her. Kills
hysterical.
Me. We've been getting a lot of prayers about for people, for the country, for the world. I want to hear some prayers for things, material things.
Material things.
And even his mom just looks at him like, what?
Where are you going with this? For cars and money. It's so
Killed
funny.
Me.
He was really great at just being so bad.
Oh,
He's just like, oh my gosh.
Killed me the whole movie.
He's a great caricature.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I loved the recurring joke of them telling the story about the general who charged them for snacks when they were free.
Yes, that just kept showing. Jennifer Lawrence's character can't get over it. She's like, I don't understand.
We're talking about the end of the world, and she's still just mulling over this.
Yeah, and that's still, she's latched onto that, because that's the only thing she can try and make sense of, and she can't make sense of it.
Oh.
So good.
Love those parts. And I like how you said that they Don't Look Up did a good job of not... there were definitely biases, obviously. in the film,
100%.
right?
It's trying to make a point.
Right. It's
Definitely.
making a point. They're focusing on this idea. There's biases. They may lean into them at times, but I feel like it wasn't really leaning into it for a lot of things. Like, I didn't feel like the president was a caricature of any past
particular president.
Yeah, it was very much just this is something that a president could be, or the CEO or the founder or whatever of the I can't think of the tech company.
The tech company, yeah.
None of them felt like, oh, we're really, this is this person. Oh, this is
yeah.
It didn't feel like any leaning into any of that, which I appreciated.
Correct. Yeah, I would agree. Like, they make these caricatures, right? But I would say the entire thing, none of them felt like they were specifically this person.
Yes.
Right? Like, it would have been very easy to make your president a caricature of Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, right?
Yeah.
And she wasn't even president. But you're going with a women president, right? You could totally go Hillary. You could totally go Donald Trump. You could totally go Joe Biden. You could totally go Obama, right? Because those are fresh in our mind, and it would be easy to do a caricature of just one of those people. Or with the tech mogul, you could easily just make him Jeff Bezos or Elon, right?
Yeah.
Elon's an eccentric character anyway, so you could really go crazy. Like, that would be an easy out. And I agree with you. I think they did a good job of not, like, I wouldn't, if you asked me, like, who is this based on? There were parts from a lot of different people.
Exactly.
And I think that's what a good caricature is it's not focusing on a specific president. It's like, what would a president potentially do?
Yes.
Right? Let's say, what if this president was like this? What would happen? Right? It was, what would be a tech CEO's kind of angle on this? What would they maybe say, right? And same with, Ariana's character, right? Here's a musician. To me, it wasn't really based on a specific musician. I could try and pick out a couple that are maybe similar, but it has pieces of a lot of different people. And so I think that it was a really important and really well done thing that it did in not... It's easy when you're doing a caricature to just base it off of one person, but they really did a good job of basing it off of the roles, right? The scientist, the, musician, the news hosts, right? Even the news hosts, they're not based off... It doesn't feel like it's just like, I know who that is. You couldn't... It's a few different people, and I think that was super powerful and important.
Yeah, I appreciated that a lot throughout the movie. I feel like, to kind of backtrack a bit from that point, when it gets towards the end of the film, and she's running for re-election, and she has her rallies, then it did kind of start feeling like, oh, this feels like we're kind of basing this off of some more recent stuff happening in politics.
Yes, that is true.
So, not perfect throughout the film with their biases. Obviously, you're not going to be perfect with biases. But I felt like it was good that they weren't targeting specific people, and only towards the end did they really base one group off of another group. Heavily,
correct,
at least.
Correct. Yeah. So. I would agree. There were... It wasn't perfect, but for the most part, it was a few different things. And if you watch the movie as a whole, it poked... it had a few different aspects that I think were well done.
Yes. I also like how they presented Twitter. I thought that was hilarious. All of those seemed like very accurate tweets. Someone would 100% agree to
the meme culture, Twitter culture, I think came across really well.
Or the moment where as you brought up bro Timothy. Where he's like, wait, I know you, and he holds up his phone, which is a meme. His screensaver is a meme of her. That killed me.
Exactly. I was dying. It was fantastic, right?
It's great.
Just good stuff. Yes. And I think they did a good job. Something that that particular director, right? He's the one who did The Big Short, right?
Okay.
Which I think is actually better, right? Adam McKay is his name. I think The Big Short is actually a better film, in my opinion. But I noticed a few Adam McKay things, and those were the like little nods of like, even at the beginning, like, is that even a real organization? And then it like pauses. Yes, it is. Here's their logo. Like those little things, those felt very Adam McKay to me, which I was happy to see. And then, like you said, the Twitter, like having a scene where it's just like a bunch of tweets popping up and stuff. I thought that was an interesting, you know, kind of way of doing some of the storytelling. And I thought he did a good job on that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what my total thoughts. I don't really know if there was anything else that really stood out to me.
Yeah, I can't. It was good. There were a lot of funny moments.
Yeah.
There's a satire here. It's critiquing this aspect of culture, and I think various parts of it are are valid critiques.
100%
presented in humorous ways.
Yeah.
I also just want to say, Ron Perlman's casting for the retired sergeant, that was perfect. Oh my gosh.
He's from a different generation.
So is my grandmother. Like those
exactly.
great moments. So the use of all of their cast. Like I think the actors were like their acting was great, and the roles they got them for were amazing. Great casting choices.
Totally
I did not realize it was Cate Blanchett as the news anchor for a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
And then I was like, oh wait, that's Cate Blanchett. Oh no.
Yep. I had the same moment at the end. I was like, oh my, wait a minute. That was Cate Blanchett, right? And I have just seen a movie that we will probably talk about soon, as soon as Gabe's able to go see it, Nightmare Alley. And she's in that. She plays a very different character in that. And so I had just seen that, and I was like, whoa, that doesn't even seem like the same person. Wow, that's impressive. But yeah, Gabe, out of 10, we always like to do this. What did you give Don't Look Up?
Well, I would go a solid 8. It was enjoyable. Okay. It had some great moments, and some moments where I'm just like, well, you could have done better here. Everything was good, but not much of it was top tier for me.
So yeah. Maybe 8. I think I'm gonna go
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go a 7.
7, okay.
I feel like for me to push it to an 8 would mean I want to watch it again. I don't really need to watch it again.
Okay.
It's one I might show some friends, like, oh, have you seen Don't Look Up? Oh, you haven't? Oh, this will be a funny, like, this is going to be an enjoyable time, right? It's something everybody can kind of just laugh at. You don't have to focus too hard on the story, right? It's not something complicated that everybody's got to sit down and, like Arrival, right? Arrival is not a movie you watch 3 drinks in and super tired on a Friday night. Like, you got to focus on Arrival to really get it.
It might be funny watching a friend watch it while 3 drinks in. That might be entertaining.
True. You might get some entertainment out of it, but your friend is not going to have an idea. They're just going to fall asleep. Yeah. Let's be real.
Yeah.
And so this is definitely a movie you could have some fun with. You could, if you miss a couple lines of dialogue, you're not going to lose out on the whole story, right? But it's not one that I would be like flipping through Netflix and being like, oh, I don't know what I want to watch. I should watch Don't Look Up again. Doesn't really have that draw to me. It was a good film. It was a film I would recommend going and seeing because I think it's an enjoyable time, but not one that I'm going to like seek out to watch again, I don't think.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree.
Yeah.
Wait. I just looked through. I had some notes, right, of my Book of Boba Fett thoughts. So tracking back to that, because I found this really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The opening title scroll. It's not even title scroll, I guess, for their TV shows. But the opening, they give us the title. You got the Book of Boba Fett soundtrack, right?
Yeah.
For episode 5, they layered the Mandalorian's theme onto the Book of Boba Fett theme, which I thought was just such an excellent touch.
Great point. I'm so glad you brought that up, because as I was watching it, my brother even made the comment. He's like, did you notice that was Mando's theme? and that's a great nod. And again, one of those subtle, like, fine detail things that just really send me over the top with the current Star Wars content we're getting.
Oh yeah, their attention to detail. I just wanted to end the podcast on that note.
Yeah, well, and
Star Wars is great.
That wonderful note. Star Wars is great. I'm so excited for the next 2 episodes. Next week we'll surprise you with what we pick for our kind of Academy Award ramp up kind of segments here. But hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Let us know in the comments below. Do you think I'm crazy for thinking Cad Bane's going to show up in the next episode? I don't know. Maybe I am, and maybe somebody else will. We'll see, and we'll definitely cover it here. Feel free to like, share, subscribe. That really helps us out, right? We're growing the channel. We have a video almost hitting 1,000 views, so that's pretty exciting. And we're looking forward to keeping this going. So we will see you next week.